So, y'all, Game of Thrones season 4, episode 4. Okay, so let's talk about it. So, Bronn is training with Jamie, okay, and he basically told Jamie that, Tyrion basically thought that, looked up to him and basically thought that he was going to save him from everything. Pretty much. He told Jamie that he don't think that Tyrion is a killer. He know for a fact that Tyrion is no killer, and he definitely ain't no person that's gonna poison somebody. So Jamie goes to go see Tyrion or whatever, and he basically believes Tyrion. Like he knows that Tyrion didn't do it and everything like that. But Cersei got upset because Jamie went to go see Tyrion, and she basically like ordered Jamie to go and find Sansa and bring her head to her, and JP ain't gonna go do that shit. Like he ain't even with none of that. Okay, he already know that Cersei is in her fucking feelings or whatever the case may be. He sends Brianna Toth away with Podrick to keep Podrick safe, and sends Brianna Toth away to go find the Stark girls or whatever and keep them safe. Now Daenerys then took over Marine. Okay, all the slave masters that was in Marine, for every child that they had up hanging up on that way to Marine was every slave master that she had hung up or whatever. And all of the people of the slaves in Marine, they was like, praising her and happy for her and everything like that. Now, north of the wall, so at the Castle Black, okay, there's a lot going on. The new commander is jealous of Jon Snow, okay, like big time jealous of Jon Snow. And they telling him, like, look, you're gonna have to get along with Jon Snow because he has popularity here. Like, it's gonna come to a point where they're gonna be voting for who's gonna be the new commander, and they might end up picking him over you for real. Because he treating them bad, telling John wanna, train the warriors or whatever so that they can be prepared for the battle, but they not, they don't want that to happen or whatever the case may be. He want to do things his way. And he not taking the fact serious that Masquerade and his armies is coming for them, right? So John finds out that Bran may be going to Crestus Keep. So he basically like asks a bunch of volunteers to see if they can come and go there with him, because if they said if they find the other Castle Black members, the ones who had murked the last Sir Mormon or whatever, Mormon, the last commander or whatever, they saying that they're going to tell them all their secrets. They're going to torture them, tell them all their secrets about Castle Black, and then they're going to have the disadvantage at Castle Black. So John took a troop of people and they on that way to Crassus Keep to try to get the other, the rogue night members of the Night's Watch or whatever. So um, basically, so Tyrell's. So Helena tells Marjorie in the garden, like, it wasn't Tyrion that did it. I know that it wasn't Tyrion that did it. And then she touched Marjorie's necklace or whatever, and basically was telling Marjorie was pretty much don't know anything that was going on. So this seemed like it was a plot between Littlefinger and Elena Tyrell, okay, to get Joffrey out of there. So um, she basically tells Marjorie, like, you need to go and cozy up to Tommen because he's the next king, and you need to, manipulate him before his mother get his hands on him. Her claws deep in him and turn him against you. So she goes to Tommen's chambers or whatever, and basically, being sweet to him and talking to him and stuff like that before they're actually able to get married and stuff. So Littlefinger basically tells Sansa, like, he was part of the plot to get rid of Joffrey and everything like that. And he's on his way to the Vale. He's taking her to the Vale to her Aunt Liza because he's about to marry Liza at the Vale. Now, mind you, Liza was the hand of the king, Robert, okay, John Aaron's wife. And a lot going to come out at the Vale about what happened with all that once they get there. But Sansa don't trust Littlefinger at all. and in no way, okay, because she know that he a crook, and she was like, "Why are you doing all this?" And he was like, "Because I want the power." Like he just wants, everything, all the power, all the glory, all of the everything or whatever. So we gets to with Craster's keep or whatever the case may be, where Craster and them is. And Craster is gone. Like I said, he had been off to him, but that's still his area, whatever it is. His daughters are still there. The rogue members of the Night's Watch is like, you know, getting it in with his daughters and torturing them and taking all that food and just being terrible to them pretty much. They got ghosts chained up in the locked up in the fucking cage and all that. So Bran and them, they not too far from where Craster's keep is. So Craster's last baby, mind you, this is his 100th child, okay? Um, or his 100th son, basically. This was his last son that was born. And they say you got to take the baby out there and sacrifice him or whatever, so to the White Walkers. So one of the rogue men took the baby out there to sacrifice him to the White Walkers, and Bran and them hear it or whatever. So Bran was like, "I'm going over there." So he walks into Summer and start going over there to see what the fuck is going on, and then Summer end up getting captured. But then as they was about to go or whatever, they end up getting captured by all of the rogue Night's Watch members and putting them inside the thing. And then Bran finally tells them, like, I'm Bran Stark of Winterfell or whatever. They was like, "Oh, this Jon Snow brother, so I guess they going to not torture them or whatever." But the White Walker got the baby or whatever the case may be, and the other boy who can vogue into, I don't even know if I'm saying it, but vogue into animals and stuff they're trying to teach Bran or whatever. He walks into the damn baby and shit, so he can see like the White Walker, and he can see like where the White Walker is taking him and all that, and then he takes him to the Night King, and he can see the Night King pick up the baby, and once the Night King pick up the baby, he turns the baby eyes blue into ice. Now, what I don't understand is if they babies, how is he transforming them into grown human beings that's grown men fighting and shit? Like, if they ice and they dead, how the hell is they growing from a baby to a man? They never explained that part, but maybe I missed it. I don't know. Um, yeah, so I think that was everything that happened in these episodes. I don't think nothing too serious really popped off. That was just pretty much it. So yeah, let me know what y'all think about this episode, and I'll see y'all in the next one.